Okay, I'm back. This is part two, the last half of the class. So when we take a look at sampling, as I mentioned, why do we use sampling? Basically, sampling is in order for us to be able to gain understandings and draw conclusions from a sample piece of a population or a group. It would be, like I said, impossible for us to interview every single man over the age of 50 that lives in a rural setting. So we will actually create a sample group. And sample groups can be created through different methods. We have the simple random sample, which is designed in a way that we ensure that every member of the population or of that group has an equal chance to be chosen to be part of the sample, and that every combination of those members, of n members, have an equal chance. And we can do this using calculator, computer, tables of random numbers, etc. So we can draw conclusions, like I said, from samples of a certain group of population. For example, we've got this entire population of people that we have to draw conclusions of because we are going to launch a new product and we want to learn about their ideas about this product, but we're not going to be able to access all of these people or have access to all of these people. So we're going to draw conclusions from a sample group of that, which represents that specific population or group that we want to target, for example. And excuse me. And what we see as random sampling, which is specifically that, where all of the members have a specific equal chance of being chosen, and that no matter what the combination, they all have an equal chance of being chosen, we can take a look at that as being random sampling. And within random sampling, there are different types. We can see systematic random sampling, which is, shall we say, the most basic one, where every X member, every so member are chosen, and it's that random and that simple. Here we have an example. So I want to do systematic random sampling for this group, this population group, which are students that are studying their business administration degree at SSBR, for example. How do we choose those, the group that we are going to sample? Okay, well, we're going to do a random sampling where first we're going to decide that we are going to sample every 5 students. Every 5 students, that one will be a part of the sample. But how do we begin? Okay, well, we use a random number table, and I'm going to choose a number between 1 and 5. And that's the number that I'm going to start off with. So number 4 comes up. Okay, on the random table number. Okay, number 4. So first I start choosing student 4. That's the first student that is in the sample. And then from then on, I count every 5. So student 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, number 9. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, number 14, and so on and so forth. And that's how I've chosen my sample group. And this is called systematic random sampling. Then we've got stratified random sampling, where this is first you divide the group or the population into subgroups based on specific variables that are important to our research, for example. And from then we draw simple random samples from those subgroups. And this is called stratified random. So we begin by dividing the population, and then once we have that population divided, we use the systematic random sampling methods that we've just seen. There are 2 different types of stratified random sampling, and I'm going to show you examples in just a minute, so bear with me. We've got proportionate stratified random sampling, where the size of the sample is selected from each subgroup, and it's proportional to the size of that subgroup in the entire population. That's proportionate because it is proportional to the weight of that subgroup in the population. For example, if we take a look at men who are over the age of 50, and we are going to we are going to sample the ones who are in rural settings, right? We can see, and perhaps first we're going to divide by rural areas. Ones will be coastal rural areas and other ones will be mountainous rural areas. If I'm going to create a proportionate stratified sample of those men or of that group, I will see that here in Spain, for example, we have many kilometers of coastline, but we've got a much bigger population of men over the age of 50 that are living in mountainous rural areas as opposed to coastal rural areas. So when I do my proportionate stratified sample, first I will divide them into these two subgroups, coastal and mountainous. And then I will choose my sample based on the weight of each. So perhaps the coastal, I will choose, for example, a sample where 30% of my sample group will be coastal because there are fewer, and 70% of my random sample group will be men over the age of 50 living in mountainous rural areas because they are the ones that have more weight in that population group. That is proportionate stratified sampling. And disproportionate stratified sampling is that it does not take into account at all the weight or the size of that group within that of that subgroup within that population or within that group, and it just is choosing it the same and giving it the same value, let's say. So if we were talking about the men that are living in rural areas over the age of 50, we would not differentiate between those that are in the coast and those that are on mountainous. We would choose the same. So if I chose 3 from the coastal areas, I would choose 3 from the mountainous area. And obviously this would be disproportionate, a disproportionate random sampling group. So here we can see where the subgroups are divided by race and ethnicity. Here we can see that we have chosen 4 Hispanic women for our sample, 4 Black women, and 4 white women. However, if we look at the population, we look at those subgroups in the population, we see that the biggest the biggest subgroup are white women. However, when we have chosen the disproportionate stratified sample, we have not represented their weight in this random sample group. We have just put and made them equal in weight, in size to the other groups. If we were to do a proportionate stratified sample of this group, for example, we would be able to having to make sure that they are all represented in the same way. So here in Hispanic women, instead of 4, we would put 3, for example. In Black women, instead of 4, well, we could put 4 or we could put 5, or white women, we would have to put at least 8 in order for their weight to be represented or their size of the subgroups to be proportional in the stratified sample. But since it's disproportionate, we haven't taken into account the size or the subgroup. We have just given them in the same equal value. So this brings me to the end of today's class. It's been a bit more brief than the prior classes. I know that sometimes I just go on and on and on, so I apologize for that. For next session, I have uploaded a book on your classwork section, The Sampling Methods and Research Methodology. It's a PDF extracted from a journal. Please read the entire thing. It's about 7 pages of readings. And then I have included here various links to useful resources to better understand these more intricate or complex ideas. Okay, I hope you guys have a great week, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye-bye.